All right, so it's day 15, I believe, of going through my journal entries. So the quote for today is surround yourself with positive people who are going to push you toward greatness. And then the prompt is describe the people who you've surrounded yourself with. Who is your biggest champion and how do they bring out the best in you? So if you're following along, go ahead and pause the video and spend a few minutes responding to this, and I'll be on in just a second with my response. All right, let's see what I wrote. So the question is, describe the people who you've surrounded yourself with. Who is your biggest champion and how do they bring out the best in you? And I said, at this point, I pretty much distanced myself from everyone except my roommate. Even with my roommate, part of what I like about our relationship is that I know he'd leave if I told him to go away. And I think that's just because like I don't like to feel trapped in like a relationship, and like I've mentioned in a previous post, I'm not sure where that stems from. I definitely have some commitment issues. And I think part of that may stem from seeing my relationship with my mom and my dad and feeling like me personally feeling like she was kind of trapped with him and wasn't able to live her life the way she wanted. And I knew that I did not want to be trapped, or what I perceived as like trapped with someone. And so yeah, but one thing I like about him is that I don't ever feel trapped. I feel like, if I told him to go, of course, if I would give him ample time to like get his things together and move out, I wouldn't just like kick him out tomorrow, but I don't think he would fight me on it. And, I think the thing with my mom and dad, it got even more escalated for me when I haven't talked a whole lot. Like, I've talked a little bit about my dad, but he's not diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure he has narcissistic personality disorder. And I know that's something that people are throwing around a lot, like calling people narcissists. But based on my experience, I think a lot of people do have narcissistic tendencies, especially a lot of men. But, like, I think, men or women, but I do think that my dad goes a little bit beyond that to, really like what would be a diagnosable narcissistic personality disorder. And my mom, I forget the terms, it's been a while. Like, I went down like a rabbit hole like several years ago of like, what it is. And there's all these different terminologies for, I think my mom would have been what they call like the supply. She was his narcissistic supply. And then there's also different terms for like the dynamics with the kids. And like, if you're familiar with that, for most of the time, like, I was the golden child, and then my sister was, I forget what the word for the child that's not treated as well, but that was her. Like, I was the golden child and she was the one that wasn't treated as well by my dad. And but yeah, like, as far as this goes, whenever she had tried to leave him a couple of times, and he just made it so hard for her to leave that she eventually would just give up and just be like, well, it's easier to stay with him than to fight him, And I was made more, like, I remember being a child and this happening, like, I was around 8, I think, the first time, but I was too young to really know what was going on. And I was isolated from a lot of it because we lived next door to my grandparents on this property that I'm living in now. And our grandparents took care of us a lot. Like, we were over here like all the time. So this house that I'm living in was basically like my childhood home. And so that isolated us from a lot of that. But my dad actually kept some journals during this time that my mom was trying to separate and divorce him. And the mental, like, he was, yeah, he made it very hard for her, and he knew that he was making it hard for her. And based on that journal, like, I understand why she didn't try to leave him later on, because he gave her such a hard time during that time that she finally like got the courage to do it. That, yeah, like it he would just make it, it was just easier for her to just keep him calm and like deal with him than to suffer the consequences of like not and trying to push him out. And like for a long time I kind of resented her a little bit, because I thought, like, man, maybe our lives would be a little bit better if you would have left him and you would have been happier and this and that. But now I'm not so sure, because like if she would have gotten divorced, he's one of those types that would have used us, and there are some instances where he used us against her to, like if he probably would have fought for joint custody, but like I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like if you read the journals, like you would understand, but like he basically, it seemed like he didn't care for us. She was who he cared about, but she would use us, saying that like, oh, well, I need to be a father to the kids, but it wasn't about us. It wasn't about him wanting to be around us. It was about him wanting to keep her. And so I'm sure he would have been one of those, like, if they got divorced, he would have fought her over custody, but it wouldn't be because he actually wanted custody of us or to be around us. It would be to give her problems, if that makes sense. But yeah, and then like whenever she finally did divorce years later, like it was crazy. So I think I'm terrified of getting into something like that where I feel like I can't get out of it and I wouldn't have freedom to do what I wanted. Like I'm terrified of that. But I don't feel like my roommate would be like that. So I think that's why I'm pretty comfortable with, having him around. So anyway, who do I surround myself with? People who aren't going to lock me down, I guess, is number one. And okay, beyond that, my boss is probably the most positive person I associate myself with, but it's out of necessity. I guess I should try and build relationships with people I admire, but around here there aren't many. Gosh, this is kind of mean. I said, around here there aren't many people to admire, number one. And number two, even if I wanted to surround myself with more people, I don't think I have the social skills to do it, or at least not to maintain it. I feel like maybe I'll make more friends when I finish school, but I don't know. I don't really want friends. I feel like overall they're more of a burden than a benefit. Then again, I don't really stress much anymore about making people happy, so maybe it wouldn't be as much of a burden now since I don't really care. I don't know. I see how it could be a benefit, but don't really want to try it. I prefer cats. So, yeah, that sounds kind of like mean and rude of me, but I think what I meant by there aren't really people around here that I admire, I don't think it's that there aren't people to look up to. I think it's there aren't people for me to look up to, because I don't think people around here value the same lifestyle as me. Like I said, I don't care about most people, like most places, they want that stereotypical lifestyle of you've got a family and kids and a job and all of that stuff, and that's not what I want or what I value. And there's not really a lot of people around here that have the same beliefs on social things as me, I guess. Like, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised I didn't write more about my boss. Maybe I was just in a mood this day. I don't know, because I definitely think about my boss a lot as someone who has changed my life completely. Like, I would not be where I'm at. I would not be the same person if I wouldn't have met her and had her kind of help me get through school and everything. She's really like a second mother to me, and she's very good. Like, I think she cares about me, but she also knows that I don't know how to respond to that. And so she doesn't like push me too hard to interact, but then at the same time, like, she makes sure that I'm okay and everything, and I know that it's somebody that, like, I don't know, cares. She cares about a lot of people. She's just one of those people that's, so on the one hand I look up to her, but then on the other hand I don't. I know that me personally do not want to be like her, because she works a lot, and she is social, and she likes to meet people, and is genuinely interested in people, and I would like to be a little bit more like that, but I just don't know if that's me. So yeah, I don't know. I guess at least at this point in my life, I don't surround myself with very many people, and I'm okay with that, because to me, being surrounded by a lot of people brings kind of stress and anxiety, and that's not something that I want right now, but it is good to have someone to look up to that kind of pushes you to be better. So, there's that too. So I hope to one day in the future surround myself with some good people. I just haven't, like, I know this is kind of cliche too, but something that resonates with me is when people say, like, I found my tribe, or you need to find your tribe. Like, yeah, it would be nice to kind of like find my people, like more people, but I feel like typically I just like attach myself to one person at a time. I don't feel like I attach myself with a lot of people. So yeah, anyway, that's my response for day 15. So I will be back tomorrow for day 16.